Ever feel like you're just drowning in information these days?
Oh, tell me about it.
News feeds, social media, everybody's got an opinion.
It really is.
It can be exhausting figuring out what to actually believe.
Oh, yeah.
That's a whole other
Like
challenge.
drinking from a fire hose. And
It really is.
It is.
But what if we told you there was a way to not just survive this information overload, but actually thrive in it?
Oh, tell me more.
That's what.
That's what we're diving into today.
Yeah.
We're taking inspiration from a YouTube video by Phil McKinney called How to Improve Your Critical Thinking Skills.
He lays out.
He gives some really practical advice.
Yeah.
And we're going to unpack it layer by layer
We are.
so you can walk away with a sharper, more discerning mind.
Because let's face it,
Yes.
critical thinking isn't just for academics or philosophers anymore.
Right.
It's the key to making better decisions, solving problems more effectively, and honestly, just navigating the world with more confidence.
McKinney even argues that it's vital for a healthy democracy.
Ooh.
But that's a big claim.
Before we get to saving the world,
Yay.
let's
Back it up.
start with the basics.
Yeah, what exactly is critical thinking?
So it's more than just skepticism or being argumentative.
Okay.
It's about actively engaging with information.
Okay.
Think analysis, evaluation.
Yes.
And yes, a healthy dose of skepticism,
Sure.
all guided by logic and reasoning.
So it's not passively absorbing whatever comes our way,
Yeah.
but being like
It's
digging deeper, asking questions, figuring out what's truly reliable.
exactly. It's like being a detective of information.
Ooh, I like that.
And that's especially crucial now
Yeah,
in our digital first world.
because things move so fast online.
So fast.
Yeah.
1 minute it's breaking news, the next it's a meme.
Right.
It's hard to know what to trust.
Yeah.
And the way information is structured online can actually hinder critical thinking.
Oh, interesting.
Algorithms curate our feeds.
Often creating echo chambers where we only see information that confirms our existing beliefs.
That's the polarization problem we hear so much about.
Yes.
Everyone's retreating into their own corners, unwilling to even consider alternative viewpoints.
And that has real-world consequences for how we communicate, make decisions, even how we participate in our communities.
Yeah.
McKinney argues that this decline in critical thinking can even undermine a well-informed democracy.
Okay, that's a bit sobering.
It is, but thankfully McKinney doesn't just leave us hanging with doom and gloom.
Okay, good.
He outlines 6 concrete steps for approaching information with caution.
And these aren't just vague suggestions, are they?
No. These are actionable tools you can start using today.
That's what I like to hear.
Let's dive in.
Yes, let's dive into a couple of the most intriguing ones.
Yeah.
One that really jumped out at me is be open to different perspectives.
Yeah.
It sounds so simple.
It does.
But in reality,
it can be incredibly difficult.
yeah.
We're naturally drawn to information that aligns with our existing beliefs.
Right.
It's comfortable.
It's familiar as
familiar.
Yeah.
But critical thinking requires us to step outside that comfort zone.
It's like that saying, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Ooh.
You got to surround yourself with diverse viewpoints to truly grow.
And that's where asking constructive questions comes in.
Okay.
Instead of dismissing information that challenges our beliefs, we need to engage with it curiously.
Okay, so let's say a news story breaks, and it seems to contradict what I believe.
Okay.
How do I start asking those constructive questions?
First, consider the source.
Right.
Is it reliable, reputable?
Okay,
What might their biases be?
right.
Then look for evidence.
Okay.
What facts are presented? Are there any gaps in the information? Is there another side to the story that's not being told?
So it's like putting on your detective hat and saying,
Yes.
okay, what's the full picture here?
The full picture.
Let's get beyond the headlines.
Precisely.
I like it.
And sometimes that investigation leads us to question our own assumptions.
Ooh, that could be tough.
It can.
Yeah, I remember this one time. I realized a deeply held belief of mine was based on something I'd heard as a kid,
Oh, wow.
with zero actual evidence to back it up.
Wow.
I was on autopilot.
We all do it.
Yeah, I guess so.
But McKinney gives us a framework
Okay.
for questioning those assumptions systematically.
Break it down for me.
Okay?
How do we start challenging our own beliefs?
It starts with awareness.
Right.
Identify the beliefs you hold about a particular topic.
Okay.
Then trace them back to their origin. Did they come from personal experience? upbringing, media influence.
Yeah.
Uncovering those roots helps us see our beliefs more objectively.
So it's not just about the what of our belief, but the why behind them.
Exactly.
Okay.
Then comes the challenging part.
Oh.
Actively questioning those beliefs.
All right. How do we do that?
So what evidence supports them? Could you be wrong?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
What would it take to change your mind?
Yeah, that takes a lot of self-awareness.
It does.
And honesty.
But the rewards are immense.
Right.
When we start questioning our assumptions, we open ourselves up to new possibilities, new understandings. And it's a beautiful thing.
That's where seeking contrary evidence comes in.
Yes.
It's actively looking for information that challenges what you believe, right?
Yes, it's so easy to stay in our comfortable echo chamber.
Totally.
But to be truly critical thinkers, we have to actively seek out diverse perspectives, even and perhaps especially those that make us uncomfortable.
I'll admit, that's where I struggle sometimes.
I hear you.
It's much easier to stick with what feels familiar.
Right.
But I'm starting to see how stepping outside of that comfort zone is where the real growth happens.
It's like anything worthwhile, it requires effort.
Sure.
But that discomfort is often a sign that we're learning and evolving.
So we've talked about approaching information cautiously and questioning our assumptions.
Yes.
What's the next step in this critical thinking journey?
Once you've gathered information and examined your own biases, you need to apply logic to analyze the situation.
Logic.
Logic.
Spock from Star Trek.
Maybe not that extreme, but yes,
Yeah.
it's about thinking rationally and systematically.
Okay.
McKinney uses the example of deciding whether to accept a job offer. He suggests breaking down this complex decision into smaller parts.
Okay.
Salary, job duties, company culture, commute time, so on.
So instead of getting overwhelmed by the big picture,
Right.
you tackle it piece by piece.
Right. And then you analyze each piece,
Okay.
logically weigh the pros and cons, consider the evidence, and then make a well-reasoned decision.
Sounds straightforward enough.
It is.
But I'm guessing there's some pitfalls along the way.
Remember those logical fallacies you mentioned earlier?
Oh, yeah.
Those errors in reasoning
Yeah.
that trip us up even when we think we're being logical.
Right, like that ad hominem thing, right?
Exactly. That ad hominem is just one example.
Yeah.
It's when someone attacks the person making an argument instead of addressing the argument itself.
Right.
It's a common tactic in online debates and political discourse.
Yeah, for sure.
And it can be incredibly misleading.
So instead of engaging with the ideas,
Yes.
they just attack the person.
Attack the person.
That's a red flag for sure.
It is. And there are many other fallacies out there.
Oh, great.
Each with its own way of distorting logic and derailing productive conversations.
So it's like we need a toolkit for spotting these fallacies in the wild.
Exactly. And that's what we'll explore next. We'll equip you with the knowledge to identify these common pitfalls
Okay.
so you can navigate arguments and discussions with more clarity and confidence.
This is already feeling empowering.
Good.
I'm excited to learn more about these fallacies
Yes.
and how to avoid them.
We'll get into that.
It's like leveling up my mental defenses.
That's a great way to think about it.
Right.
And once you're armed with this knowledge,
Yeah.
you'll be surprised how much clearer the world of information becomes.
Okay.
All right.
I'm ready for it.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay. So let's delve into these logical fallacies.
Okay.
You mentioned ad hominem,
Uh-huh.
which is a classic.
Yeah.
Instead of engaging with the argument,
Yeah.
you attack the person making it.
It's like saying, well, you're wearing mismatched socks, so your opinion on climate change is invalid.
Exactly.
Totally irrelevant.
It's a distraction tactic.
Yeah.
And surprisingly common.
Yeah.
Another one to watch out for is the bandwagon fallacy.
Ooh, that rings a bell.
Isn't that the everyone else is doing it so it must be right argument?
Precisely.
Okay.
Just because something is popular
Right.
doesn't make it true or valid.
Yeah.
Think of those fads from your childhood.
Oh, no.
You know,
I see.
the ones we won't mention to protect our dignity.
Okay.
Yeah.
Some of those fads were awesome, but I see your point.
Yeah.
Popularity doesn't equal truth.
Yeah.
What other fallacies should we be on the lookout for?
There's the straw man fallacy,
Okay.
where you misrepresent your opponent's argument to make it easier to attack.
Oh, okay.
It's like setting up a straw man and then knocking it down,
Right.
claiming victory over a much weaker opponent.
So it's about twisting someone's words to make your own argument seem stronger.
It is.
That's just sneaky.
It is. And then there's the appeal to emotion fallacy.
Okay.
This is where you use emotional manipulation.
Okay.
Instead of logic or evidence to persuade someone.
Oh, I see this all the time in advertising.
Yeah.
Like those heart-wrenching commercials that make you want to donate to a cause.
Yes.
Even before you've really considered the details.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Appealing to emotions can be effective.
Yeah.
But it's not a substitute for sound reasoning.
Right.
Critical thinking requires us to look beyond the emotional appeal.
Okay.
And assess the argument on its merits.
So it's like having an emotional shield.
Yes.
Protecting ourselves from being swayed by feelings alone.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
And remember, logical fallacies aren't just used intentionally to mislead.
Right.
Sometimes we fall into them ourselves without even realizing it.
That's what makes them so tricky.
It does.
So how do we avoid falling into these traps?
First, educate yourself.
Okay.
Familiarize yourself with common fallacies.
Right.
There are tons of resources online and in books.
Okay.
Once you know what to look for,
Yeah.
you're more likely to spot them.
So it's like learning the warning signs of a scam.
Exactly.
Once you know the red flags,
Yes.
you're less likely to fall for it.
Exactly.
Right.
And remember to always consider alternative explanations.
Okay.
Don't just accept an argument at face value, even if it sounds convincing.
Right.
Dig deeper.
Yep.
Ask questions.
Uh-huh.
And challenge your own assumptions.
So it's about being an active participant in the conversation.
Precisely.
Not just a passive listener.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that brings us to another key aspect of critical thinking that McKinney emphasizes.
Okay.
Asking good questions.
Okay.
He even wrote a whole book about it called Beyond the Obvious.
Wow, now that's dedication.
He did.
What makes a good question in the context of critical thinking?
It starts with being open-ended
Okay.
instead of questions with a simple yes or no answer.
Yeah.
Ask questions that invite thoughtful responses.
Like what led you to that conclusion? Or what are the potential downsides of this approach?
Perfect.
Yeah.
Those types of questions encourage people to explain their reasoning, which helps us understand their perspective better. And it can also reveal flaws in their logic.
Okay.
Or areas where they might be making assumptions.
So it's not just about getting information.
Right.
It's about stimulating deeper thinking.
Exactly.
Okay.
And good questions can also challenge our own assumptions.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes simply asking the right question can spark a whole new way of thinking about an issue.
Like a mental reset button.
Yes.
Pushing us out of our comfortable assumptions.
Yes.
And into a space of curiosity and exploration.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
McKinney also has a great tip about active listening.
Okay.
Which is essential for asking good questions.
Right.
He says, when someone is talking, don't be thinking about your next question.
Right.
Just focus on what they're saying.
Okay.
And try to truly understand their viewpoint.
Wow. That's harder than it sounds.
It is.
My mind is always racing ahead.
I know.
Trying to formulate the perfect response.
Right.
But I can see how staying present in the moment would lead to a deeper understanding.
It takes practice, for sure.
Yeah.
But the more we can quiet that inner voice and truly listen,
Right.
the more meaningful our conversations become
Yeah.
and the more we learn from each other.
Okay, I'm sold on the power of good questions.
Good.
But you mentioned that McKinney has a fun challenge.
Yes.
To put all of these skills into practice?
Yes.
I hear about a structured debate.
This is where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
McKinney suggests grabbing a friend
Okay.
and choosing a topic you both find interesting.
All right.
Maybe even a little controversial.
So it's something we could have a lively discussion about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But here's the twist.
Oh, twist.
You flip a coin to decide who argues for the topic and who argues against it.
Wait, so you might end up arguing for a position you don't actually agree with.
You might.
That's brilliant.
It is.
Yeah.
It forces you to step outside of your comfort zone
Yeah.
and truly consider the other side.
It's like a mental workout for your empathy muscles. Love it.
Once you've assigned positions,
Okay.
you both do some research, prepare your arguments, anticipate counter-arguments.
So it's not just a casual chat.
No.
You're going in prepared, ready to spar.
You got it.
I like it.
Then you have your debate.
Okay.
And this is where McKinney adds another layer of intrigue.
Okay. More intrigue.
He suggests recording the conversation.
Ooh, not for posting on social media, I hope.
Oh, no. It's for your own personal review.
Okay.
Listening back can reveal so much about your own thinking patterns.
Interesting.
You might notice areas where your arguments are strong.
Okay.
And areas where you tend to fall back on fallacies.
I bet that would be eye-opening.
It can be.
Yeah.
It's like holding up a mirror to your own thought process.
Yeah, for sure.
And here's the final twist.
Oh, there's more.
After the debate, switch sides.
You're kidding? You're not kidding.
Argue for the opposite position.
Yep. Wow.
It might seem counterintuitive, but McKinney argues it's one of the best ways to deepen your understanding of the issue.
Okay.
It forces you to engage with the other side's arguments more seriously.
Right.
To develop empathy.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe even discover nuances you hadn't considered before.
Wow, that's next-level critical thinking.
It is.
I could already tell this debate challenge is going to be a game changer.
It is.
I'm definitely trying this.
I think you'll find it to be a truly enlightening experience.
Yeah.
And you never know.
Yeah.
You might even surprise yourself by changing your mind about a few things along the way.
Okay, so we've talked about approaching information cautiously, questioning assumptions,
Yes.
applying logic,
Yes.
avoiding fallacies, asking good questions,
Yes.
and even engaging in structured debates.
That's a lot.
That's a lot to digest.
It is.
Yeah.
But let's bring it back to you, the listener.
Okay.
What's the takeaway here?
Yeah, why should you care about all of this?
The truth is, honing your critical thinking skills can have a profound impact on your life. They can help you make better decisions, solve problems more effectively, and navigate the world with more confidence.
It's about being an active participant in your own life,
Exactly.
not just a passive observer.
Exactly. But the benefits go far beyond just personal success.
Oh.
Critical thinking is also essential for a healthy society.
Yeah.
It allows us to engage in constructive dialogue, make informed decisions about the issues that affect us, and hold our leaders accountable.
So it's not just about individual growth.
No.
It's about creating a more informed and engaged citizenry.
Precisely.
Okay.
And in a world where misinformation and disinformation are rampant, the ability to think critically is more important than ever.
It's like having a superpower.
It is.
The ability to cut through the noise,
Yes.
see things clearly, and make sound judgments.
And like any superpower, it takes practice and dedication to develop.
Sure. But the rewards are well worth the effort.
So as you're listening to all of this, what's resonating with you most? Is there a particular skill or technique that you're excited to try out?
That's a great question to ask yourself.
Yeah.
And remember, critical thinking isn't just a theoretical concept.
Right.
It's something you can apply to real-life situations.
Exactly. It's not about winning arguments or sounding smart. It's about making better choices.
Yes.
Solving problems more effectively.
Yeah.
And understanding the world around us in a deeper way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So as you go about your day, I challenge you to think about how you can apply these principles.
You know, so much of what we've talked about just feels incredibly timely.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, with elections coming up, it's just easy to get swept up in the rhetoric and emotional appeals.
Right. And that's a perfect example of where critical thinking becomes essential.
Okay.
When you see a political ad.
Or hear a passionate speech, don't just accept it at face value.
Right. Engage that critical thinking toolkit we've been building.
Exactly. Ask yourself, who's the source? What are their biases?
Okay.
What evidence do they present? Are there any logical fallacies in their argument?
It's like peeling back the layers like an onion.
Right.
Or maybe a parfait.
I like that.
Getting to the core of the issue.
Yes.
Beyond the initial presentation.
And don't just consume information from sources that align with your existing beliefs.
Right.
Seek out diverse perspectives, even those that you might disagree with.
It's about challenging your own assumptions, right?
It is.
Stepping outside your comfort zone to get a more complete understanding of the issue.
Precisely. And remember that questioning your assumptions isn't a sign of weakness.
Okay.
It's a sign of intellectual humility and a commitment to truth.
It's like saying, I'm open to being wrong, and I'm willing to change my mind if presented with compelling evidence.
That's the hallmark of a true critical thinker.
Okay.
And this applies to so many areas of life.
Right.
Not just politics.
Sure. What if you're facing a tough decision at work?
Like
whether to take on a new project or propose a risky idea?
Yes, those can be stressful.
They can be.
But instead of letting fear or uncertainty drive your decision,
engage
your critical thinking skills.
So break it down into manageable parts. Like McKinney suggested with the job offer example.
Exactly. What are the potential benefits and risks? What are the short-term and long-term implications?
Okay.
What resources do you need?
Right. And talk to people.
Yes.
Get diverse perspectives from colleagues, mentors, anyone who might have valuable insights.
That's key. And don't forget about those constructive questions.
Right.
They can help you uncover blind spots and challenge your own assumptions.
It's like having an internal advisory board, helping you make the best decision possible.
I love that image.
Yeah.
And remember,
Yep.
critical thinking isn't a one-time event. It's an ongoing process of learning, questioning, and refining your thinking.
It's a journey, not a destination.
It is.
And like any worthwhile journey,
Yeah.
it can be challenging at times.
But it's also incredibly rewarding.
Okay.
The more you practice critical thinking, the more confident and empowered you become.
It's like building a mental muscle. The more you use it,
Yes.
the stronger it gets.
Exactly. And that strength will serve you well in all areas of your life.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into critical thinking,
Yes.
I want to leave you with one final thought.
Okay.
Never stop questioning.
Never stop learning.
Never stop thinking critically.
It's the key to unlocking your full potential,
It really is.
both as an individual
Uh-huh.
and as a member of a thriving society.
So keep those critical thinking muscles flexed. And until next time,
Happy diving.
happy diving.
Yeah.